Sulphur-crested cockatoos in Western Sydney have been observed using public drinking fountains, learning to twist the handles and drinking from the bubblers. Those crazy cockies. An article published in the Royal Society Journal says the birds have been using the drinking fountains consistently over a period of 2 years, succeeding 41% of the time. A flock of 100 to 200 cockatoos has been seen using the technique, proving their ability to adapt to urban environments. And Dr. Lucy Aplin is a behavioural ecologist at Australian National University and co-authored the study, and she joins us now from Canberra. Lucy Aplin, welcome. So what was it like for you when you first came across this talent of the cockies twisting taps to get water?
Yeah, it was quite a surprise. It was quite serendipitous, actually. My co-author, Barbara, who was a postdoc in my lab at the time, was doing some transects in Western Sydney to look for foraging repertoires. And she literally stumbled on the birds doing this at this very bubbler. She talked to the rangers in the local area at the parklands, and they said, oh, you know, cockatoos do it here regularly all the time. So we thought, well, that has to be studied.
Yeah, cool. And so I hate to be a pedant, but you don't, from the angle that we look, you don't actually see them twisting, but we've got a still shot that we might be able to bring up soon, showing a cocky coming in and showing how the water fountain is configured. So, but yeah, from what you've seen, they do actually kind of get their claws around the four-pronged handle and twist it.
So when the birds encounter the bubblers, they have to successfully operate it by holding the stem with one foot, twisting the handle with the other foot. And as anyone who's used one of these bubblers will know, they actually have a spring in them to mean that the water doesn't run continuously. So the birds are holding that spring down, twisting their body weight to keep it that way, and they're moving back with their head. So it's quite a complicated foot mouth-body coordination.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. So what was this setup of the study that you did?
So the first thing we did once we discovered the behaviour was present was do a census of the local area to work out how widespread it was. We then concentrated on one bubbler we identified was one that was in habitual use, and did an intensive study at that over 2 months. And in addition, we individually marked the local population with small paint dots that are sort of just temporary, but allowed us to identify how many individuals were using it and if individuals used them in different ways.
And some were better at the others than the others. Was there one who was a particular champ?
A few. We actually found that 70% of the population were engaging in this behaviour, but only about 50% were successful. So it seems like they require quite a long time to learn and maybe some process of trial and error. So while we think it's socially learnt from copying, maybe it's a little bit more like if you learn to play the piano. You know, you observe somebody playing, you try yourself, but then there's quite a lot of hand-eye coordination that goes on to get it right.
And is this the same gang notorious for their bin opening abilities?
It's not. It's the same Sydney population, but the bin opening started in the south of Sydney. So exactly, that video was taken down in the south of Sutherland Shire, and it's spreading from that area, while this innovation arose in Western Sydney. So it's quite a different area, but it's part of the same Sydney population of cockatoos. And it's another example of how these urban cockatoos are so innovative in the face of the sort of novel resource landscape they encounter in Sydney.
So we've got rival gangs, the bin gang and the water bubbler gang duking it out. And so with
bin cultures and drinking cultures.
And so with the bin opening cockies, it was primarily the males doing that, but you're finding with the water bubbler, it's the males and the females?
That's right. So the bin opening is entirely males. I think we've had one observation of a female performing this behaviour, which is really quite remarkable. So it's a male-only culture in the cockatoos. But in this new water bubbler culture we've observed, it's about equal males and females engaging. So that tells us that there's nothing special to say, just so to say, about male cockatoos. They're not smarter than female cockatoos or more innovative. But it's probably something about the bin opening in particular. For maybe it's physically more difficult. Male cockatoos are a little bit heavier and stronger than female cockatoos, but otherwise there's no sex difference. And the fact it's so widespread also suggests that it forms a local tradition in this area, which most of the birds are engaging in.
And what does it indicate about cockatoos' intelligence?
Well, yeah, this is a really complex behavior, as is the bin opening behavior. And in fact, sulphur-crested cockatoos are a little bit like the elephant of the bird world. They have very large relative brain sizes for their body size. They're also very long-lived and very social. And so perhaps isn't so surprising that we see these sorts of complex learnt behaviors in cockatoos specifically, but they're representative of parrots more broadly. And we know parrots are a group which are both very intelligent and also show a lot of flexibility. So they're able to exhibit these new adaptive novel behaviors.